all these 700 students are bearing the brunt. So anything is on a Canadian immigration system, it is there. It's not going to change. Hello everyone, welcome to Mars Vlogs. I have been getting a lot of questions about the latest deportation of 700 plus students, like the chances of them getting deported. And many people had asked me, like how did this happen, or how do we not get into trouble of this sort, and those kind of things. So one thing I wanted to say is I've seen so many comments in my inboxes even before, like since last year, wherein people have asked, like how do we come to Canada, or how do we, like, is it possible I submit some false documents, like it can be your educational documents, or it can be your experience certificates, or anything of that sort. What I always tell them is never ever I can't stress more than this, because you should never submit a false document to Canadian government or any kind of immigration services, because ultimately that will get pulled out. Like in this case, what happened, so this was not the fault of those 700 unfortunate, like this is such an unfortunate situation, but it was not their fault, but it was a fault of an agent who actually did their files and did all this fraud. So just to give a background of whoever does not know about this issue, recently, for some time, this has been happening where there's this case going on regarding one agent who actually falsified many documents of I don't know whether he falsified the document of the students, but he actually gave fake offer letters to these students and forged it in such a way that even the Canadian government approved all these visas. They all came to Canada. Once they came to Canada, this is in between 2016 to 2020. So once they came to Canada, what happened is they came to know that they start. Whichever agent issued it told that this particular college is not accepting the admission anymore, and he provided admission in other colleges. And all these people who came here to study also got their postgraduate work permit, are working well. They contributed to the Canadian economy. And at this point of time, eventually, when the case has been solved, or they found out who the culprit is, all these 700 students are bearing the brunt. So one person who is actually creating all these issues, and there's 700 people who are actually going through the main, like the exact word is bearing the brunt, right? They are actually going through all these trouble because of that one person. So what I want to always tell is, many of you, like 70% of you who have messaged or whom I've interacted with, would like to hire an agent to actually get their documentation done, or they're not comfortable doing it by themselves. I understand that immigration paperwork is not at all easy, or it's not very simple wherein you can just fill up a application form and you just submit it, right? That's not the case. You have to fill in documents, you have to submit documents, you have to fill in forms, multiple forms. So I know how intimidating it can be to actually do something of that sort. But if you're hiring an agent, I would highly suggest that you first of all check the background of the agent. How reliable is he? Many people can fake that too. So if you're finding an agent, go for an agent who's reputed, or who has a background of sending people to Canada, whichever country it is. And moreover, do a background check with those people who have used this agent to reach Canada. See, you can never predict what's going to happen. All these people would have done background checks. 700 people are getting into trouble, so all these people would have done background checks. They would have taken references. But this happened over a time, right? Like it's from 2016 to 20. So it's, how the thing works, right? It's not possible for a person to actually predict all these things might happen. So what I'm saying is, whenever you hire an agent, don't blindly go by what the agent is telling you. Don't blindly go and join a course which the agent is telling you. Don't blindly go and admit yourself into a college which the agent is telling you. Do your background check. So I always tell my subscribers, like, first of all, I encourage them to do it by themselves. But if at all you're not sure about how to do an application, please hire an agent who's reliable. Even if you're hiring an agent who's reliable, whenever he's doing your documentation or whenever he's submitting your file, you have to go through it in detail. Ask him clarifications, ask him all the documents he submitted, ask him to copy you in the email, send you all the documents whichever he's submitting. You should know your SOP, you should know the files he submitted, you should know every single thing that he's putting in your file. Not only because of the fraud, but in the long run also, it's good to know what all have gone in the file, because I've seen so many other cases wherein the person comes here, later on they're applying maybe for their postgraduate work permit or any of the permits later on, they don't stick on to the same storyline, right? They don't stick on to the same experience. They would have told something before which is not true, or the agent would have told something before which is not true. Then they say something else in the next application. So once anything is on a Canadian immigration system, it is there. It's not going to change. You cannot edit or you cannot wipe it out of the system. It is there. No matter what happens, it's going to be there. So what I would say is, the first step that you do, whichever application, whichever type of permit you're coming to Canada, it can be student permit, it can be PR, it can be work permit, or any visitor visa or anything. Don't give any false documents or don't claim something that you don't have, okay, or you are not. So that's my first advice. Never ever do that, because once you start doing that, then you need to stick on to the same story. If you are so capable of doing it, go ahead and do it. But one or the other day, all these issues are going to come out, and that is for sure, okay. So even I've got into trouble once, because my VES certificate, that is the ECA, the Educational Credential Assessment, says that even though I've done an MBA, it says I've done a 3 to 4 years of degree. But in one of my applications, I put it as masters. Okay, so it's not that I intentionally wanted to put it as masters. I've just put it because obviously I've completed a masters. But the problem is, people don't actually trust what you put it in there, mainly because they think it is just like a degree certificate. Okay, the car that went by was just stopping and checking what I'm doing. So I'm just standing on the middle of the road and doing a video. So anyways, the person is gone. I hope he's gone. Yeah, he's going there. He stopped. Okay. So I don't know. So the thing is, whatever documents you're giving, later on it will come into impact. Why I'm telling you is, I missed on a major opportunity recently, wherein I had claimed, or I had put in the application that I have masters, which is the truth. I have MBA, but my masters, or the college that I did from, is not considered as masters in when they do WES. Whoever does not know WES, is WES, or it's called as Educational Credential Assessment, ECA. These people, please go and Google and find out what it is. So mine was considered as 3 to 4 years of degree, but I thought, okay, masters, I can just put it, because that application might not get considered. I didn't take it too seriously. I thought I won't get selected for that. But what happened is, during that particular nomination, or during that particular selection, my application did get selected, and I couldn't submit the application, mainly because it's a false document, right? And I purposely didn't submit that particular document or that particular application because I didn't want to get into trouble. So even though I put some wrong information before, I didn't want to submit something claiming it's not that or anything of that sort. And because of that, I couldn't actually participate in a nomination, which is a big loss, because that we all have come here for PR purpose, and when I'm not able to actually put in a nomination for a particular PR draw, it's very sad. My heart broke into pieces. Hey, be very, very careful about what the agent is putting in, what you're putting in your documentation. You should know your profile really well. Whatever you're putting up in your profile, or your express entry profile, or SINP profile, or whichever PNP profile, you should have a very, very clear idea about what's happening. I have a personal experience. You're seeing all these people having a personal experience. It might be through an agent, it might be directly, but don't get into trouble. I can't stress enough on this point, because why unnecessarily get into trouble, right? I know these people are totally innocent. They didn't know what happened. So I was just talking to one of my friend who comes from the same state. Obviously all of you know that this particular agent was from Punjab, and most of the students who are going through this problem is also from Punjab or Delhi or that zone, right? So I was asking, how do you actually how is it that your application is getting processed, or what is the process that you guys go through? Because I did my research, or I went to an agent, I didn't go to an agent, or whatever it is. I was just asking their process. So one of my friend was telling, as soon as they actually pass out their 12th or 10th or something, they just go to their parents, just go to an agent and say that their parents just go to an agent and say that we want to study in this particular college, or my kid needs to go to Canada, so can you please take an admission and send this person to Canada. So that's the process that happens. There's no background check. They just go by some person's reference. Okay, that person's kid has gone to Canada, so let my child also go to Canada. So they just blindly go through an agent, and then things might like this might happen. It's not necessarily it will happen. Things might happen, which unfortunately happened to these 700 or 700 plus people who have been in Canada for so long now. Okay, and then now they're going through an issue, and I seriously hope it's a positive response for them, and they actually it's in favor, whatever the Canadian government decides is in favor of those people and against the agent who screwed up their life. Actually their life is screwed up, right? Because most of them would have dreamed to come to Canada, and they've come here and all these issues are happening. So my kind advice is, guys, please check your documentation. Don't provide any false documentation. Even if your agent is doing the documentation for you, please check everything that he's putting in the profile. Please don't blindly trust anything on anyone, right? Because just imagine it's like your medical report, or you're going to a doctor and you're actually giving your reports. You wouldn't give a wrong report and ask him to treat you, right? It's the same thing. Like, it's not that complicated, but it's the same effect, right? The impact can be big later on. So that's it, guys. I thought I should just come on video and tell you guys how you can save yourself, because I have seen so many people just ask me, okay, can I just do this and get away with it? Can I do this and get a... One person even asked me, I actually need to come to Canada, and I heard this particular province actually selects people who has relatives. Like, if I have a relative in Canada or this particular province, I'll be able to come there. So I told, okay, do you have a relative? Then she's like, no, I don't have a relative. Then I was like, how are you planning to come? Can you become my relative? I'm like, don't you need to prove that I'm a relative? Like, on what basis, So don't go blindly with these things, guys. Please do your research. That's it for now, guys. Like, I think there are a lot of people walking around, and I'm also getting a little conscious about it. I need to head back home. I just finished office. Let me go have a cup of tea, and I hope you take my advice and do your immigration process properly. That's all for now, guys. If you like the video, please like, share and subscribe, and share it with your friends. Let them also know what might be the implications of not checking your documents or like trusting somebody blindly. Don't do that.